Hello everybody, and welcome to another Warframe video. Today is going to be all about Chroma. More specifically, it's going to be about my Chroma Wolf Sledge build that I use to just absolutely pummel everything in my way. This build will allow you to do millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of damage seemingly out of nowhere and with little to minimal effort possible. I've had a lot of friends ask me exactly how I'm able to pull off this much damage with a Chroma. Well, today I'm going to be divulging the secret, even though the secret in of itself isn't that complicated, much like everything else with Chroma. So, without further ado, let's get into the build. Alright, first thing is first, this build will require you to subsume an ability onto Chroma. That ability is going to be Wrathful Advance from Kalervo. This is where all of our melee critical chance damage is going to be coming from. At this moment, I have 303% power strength here, which Wrathful Advance is going to give us that same amount as critical chance damage. This, paired up with Vex Armor, is going to push our damage numbers even further beyond what they normally would be. This is where all of our damage is coming from. So, when it comes to the mods in this build, I want to put as much power strength as possible and as much duration as possible into this build. In order to do that, I have stuff like Blind Rage, given that 99% ability strength, Augur Secrets, given additional 24, and then Umbral Intensify paired up with Umbral Vitality at their current ranks that I have them, gives me an additional 45% ability strength and just a little bit of health added onto there. Doesn't matter all too much there. To mitigate Blind Rage's minus 55% ability efficiency, I have Streamline slotted in here to give back 30 of that, sitting me at 75%. Not too bad, not too good either, but it's perfectly fine for what we needed to do. Next, I have Augur Message down here to give that plus 24% ability duration, and Narrow-Minded as well to give that plus 81% ability duration at its current level. This will push me over that 200% duration threshold. I just like to have duration. I don't want to recast my abilities all too often, especially with Vex Armor. If you're a forgetful Chroma, this is probably the worst thing you could possibly do, is forget to recast your Vex Armor, then have to build up all your damage again. I have Adaptation slotted here as well. This gives us that just a little bit of extra survivability, makes so that damage that's coming into us isn't going to be too lethal. It's going to reduce it up to 90% depending on how much we take. It's just a really good mod to slot into this position. We can also put something in like Rolling Guard in order to give us that additional survivability as well if you feel like you're having issues with status effects killing you off faster than you can react. Moving on to the Aura and Exilus slots, I have Sure-Footed. This is a must. You have to have Sure-Footed. Enemies will knock you down. You will knock yourself down with this build, especially with the Wolf Sledge and its blast damage and higher level enemies constantly wanting to knock you over. Prime Sure-Footed is at 100% chance to resist knockdown, so much better than Sure-Footed. However, my broke ass cannot afford it at the moment, so I have to make do. Steel Charge in there gives you that additional plus 60% melee damage. This is fantastic. I love having this here. Just gives you more damage. So simple, straightforward. You need this. Moving on to the Arcanes, I have Molt Augmented slotted in here. This will just give you additional ability strength. Very straightforward. This is based on kills. You will be getting kills. No need to worry about this. Just more damage, all there is to it. Arcane Energize is here, just for an additional energy pickup every now and then. This is just to mitigate my energy efficiency being so low. So, moving on, I also slot in some Archon shards here. These three Crimson Archon Shards push me above the 300% strength damage threshold that I need in order to get these big numbers. And then I also slotted in some Azure Archon Shards here as well. This is because I completely forwent all energy type mods in this build. So I want to make sure that I have enough energy in my energy pool, especially when my efficiency is only at 75%. Normally I don't have issues with energy, but when I do, this definitely makes sure that I have enough in my pool to recast all of my abilities, and even if I feel cute that day, I can cast my Elemental Ward to get some additional bonuses. Moving on to the Wolf Sledge itself. Take a moment to take a look at the build. We have Amalgam Organ Shatter. This is a mainstay in this build. It gives you that additional 85% critical damage and plus 60% heavy attack wind-up speed. Absolutely phenomenal. This makes it so that whenever you throw your hammer, you're not sitting there wasting time in an animation. You're getting it out there, you're getting the kills, and it's coming back to you. Same thought with Killing Blow here. It gives you another plus 60% heavy attack wind-up speed, making sure that you can chuck that thing out there as quick as possible. And it gives us an additional 120% melee damage on heavy attacks. Absolutely phenomenal for this type of build. I have Life Strike in here. We're always going to be dealing heavy attacks. This is where our healing is going to be coming from. I have Prime Fury here. Gives us some more attack speed. Just get that hammer out there is my only thought. Corrupted Charge gives us that plus 30 initial combo. This makes it so that our combo counter is always going to be at 2 times multiplier, increasing our damage every single time we throw our hammer. I have Spoiled Strike slotted in here as well, just to give us that additional plus 100% melee damage. That minus 20 attack speed doesn't really matter when we have Prime Fury and when we're going to be doing a lot of heavy attacking with Killing Blow and Amalgam Organ Shatter being slotted in here as well. This is just free extra damage for us. Why not? I have Shocking Touch and Fever Strike giving us corrosive damage over here. A majority of my enemy types that I will be going up against is Grineer. However, you can slot in whatever other elemental mods you want to slot in here to go against any faction that you're going up against. I do not have Viral slotted in here, but that is also a good alternative. My Viral is going to be coming from my Primer and from my Companion, so I just slotted in something else in here to take advantage of that additional Viral damage. Up top here, we have Dispatch Overdrive in the Exilus slot. I really don't have anything else, and we're going to be heavy attacking a lot, so why not get that additional movement speed? Why not? And then I have Crushing Ruin here, just because having aerial attacks with a big old hammer, being able to knock them up in the air and slap them around, is just absolutely hilarious to me. In the Arcane slot, I have Melee Exposure. This just gives us some additional corrosive damage every single time we cast an ability for 25 seconds. My duration on Wrathful Advance is 20 seconds, so this basically makes sure that I always get this corrosive damage. It's just a nice little pocket thing to have. Alright, that's pretty much it for the Wolf Sledge. Moving on to my primer, the Epitaph. You can use whatever primer you wish. If it's going to be the Kuva Nucor, that's perfectly fine. Also a good damage source as well. But I just use the Epitaph. Nice, simple, shoot, AoE. Everybody has radiation. Everybody has viral. I built it to do those 2 different types of status effects. I used the 60/60 mods in order to increase my elemental damage and my status chance. Slotted them all in here, and then also added in an additional cold damage and toxin damage from pathogen rounds and deep freeze. Perfectly fine. Pushes my viral just a little bit over that amount and puts my status at 215% with Sure Shot in there as well. This is just fully utility, making sure that all the enemies I go up against at least have a couple viral stacks, increasing my damage threshold. Secondary Merciless is up here just because it can. You're not really going to be getting too many kills with this unless your Chroma is absolutely cracked and you're able to deal a lot more damage with a full Vex Armor buff. But for the most part, it's just there because it can be. Next, with the new Chroma changes, it is now possible for Chroma to gain his Fury and Scorn buffs from Vex Armor through other means than getting your salad tossed by a big group of enemies. Going into Chroma here, let's take a look at his ability. Chroma's Vex Armor is now able to gain his damage buff based on range kills and gain his armor buff based on melee kills. Now we will be doing a whole lot of melee kills, a lot of melee damage, so we will constantly be getting that armor buff, but that's not exactly what we need. We need that damage increase as soon as we possibly can. So in the primary slot, I usually like to run something that will guarantee me at least a couple of kills to start to get my damage buff up there if I don't want to take a whole bunch of damage. For this, I use stuff like the Burst and Prime, which is fantastic here. You can use just a basic bleed build here, running Galvanized Chamber, Galvanized Scope, pushing everything towards critical chance, crit multiplier, so on and so forth. This thing absolutely shreds. Of course, primary deadhead up here to get that additional damage, or you can go for something that's even more overpowered, like the Torrid and Carnon. Anything that'll help you get that additional damage. The Torrid itself is an amazing weapon as well. I don't have it fully modded out here because I am currently releveling it and redoing the build, so that's kind of cool. As it is now, it's still a fantastic weapon. So let's swap back over to the Burst and Prime, and we will just use that to do our damage testing. So I went ahead and put myself into an invulnerable state. So this is basically mimicking a Dante being in the party, by the way. So you can just imagine a little Dante up there in the right-hand corner. Pretend he's here with us in spirit, because this invulnerability sure as hell makes it seem like it. I'm kind of wanting to show off how Chroma works as of now. So this is to build his Fury and Scorn buffs without taking damage. I think that's just the best way possible. It opens up so many more avenues for Chroma to do other builds and be able to actually protect himself. So these enemy levels are only level 115 because my mastery rank is very small, and yeah, I can't go much higher than this in simulations, but this Chroma can handle enemies upwards to 300 enemy levels, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. So let's go ahead and pop some Vex armor here and go ahead and start building up Bursten and Carnon, getting that in there. And the first kill looks like I have 45% towards my Fury buff. Pretty significant. Just keep on going. 90% now. 181. Let's just start mag dumping some fools. Alright, I think my current total is 833 at base. Might go a little bit higher now that I got a couple more kills. Just go ahead and finish up these enemies here. And yep, we are maxed out on our Fury buff. Now let's get into the fun business. I'm gonna go ahead and spawn in some more enemies here. And I'm gonna swap over to the Wolf Sledge. Recast my Vex armor. Use Wrathful Advance, holding the ability to just teleport in front of me. You'll see that little beam appear there. You can go pretty far out with it, but it won't always go to that same distance. And now we'll just throw it. 200,000, 900,000 damage. We got a couple millions there. Do our recast. Tons of damage. One-shotting these guys with 1,000,000 damage. Yeah. And that's without anything else. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, I just slapped him for almost 2 mil. That's at base. Now let's try with our primer. This is what we're going to be using in higher level missions to ensure that we get our damage off. So, just going to pop a couple shots here of the Epitaph, make sure everyone is confused, all that good stuff, and tossing it in there. A couple millions. Gets our damage even higher up there. Got 2 million in there now. Almost 3 mil. And I don't think you got anything on you. No, you didn't. Let's change that. Spice him up a little bit. He's got 10 stacks. And well, 2 million damage. Not a red crit though, because I forgot to cast my Wrathful Advance. But you kind of get the picture here. Now, you may be thinking, well, Bon, this isn't reaching the tens of millions and hundreds of millions that you advertised during your opening, right? Well, that's where armor stripping comes in handy. If you have a friend that is able to do armor stripping and such, that is when you start reaching those crazy damage thresholds. In my case, my friend that I carry around with me all the time is my companion. It is my Panzerkampfkatze, or my Panzervopophyla here. This guy will do viral damage, and he will also armor strip enemies. This is fantastic. So I'm going to have him run around a little bit and wreak some havoc. I'm going to build up my Vex armor again. Might take a little bit of time here. Nope, got some stragglers back here. Alright, we're at 833. Go ahead and respawn some of those enemies. And let's go at it again. Go, Panzerkampfkatze! Murder them whole! We got an armor-stripped enemy there. I'm now going to fling it. 39 million damage. Wait for him to strip another enemy. 14 million damage. A couple 4 millions in there. 6 million. Absolutely fantastic. Now, with certain conditions, certain enemy types, depending on what the armor value is, so on and so forth, this damage can be brought to even further beyond 30 mil, 40 mil, so on and so forth. I wasn't able to demonstrate it here during that test, but I do have some footage of reaching that here in the simulacrum. And also, you can see a little bit in my intro too. I think I hit somebody for like 97 million or 100 million or so on and so forth. But this build does a lot of damage. And you're only casting 2 abilities. You're casting Vex Armor like you normally would with Chroma, so on and so forth. Everybody does this. And then Wrathful Advance. Super simple, super fun. And it's definitely nothing that's going to be super overpowered in super high level content. I mean, you are still a Chroma, you do have that armor protection, but your chances of getting one shot are pretty high, unless you're constantly throwing the hammer, constantly healing yourself, and so on and so forth, and constantly shield gating, then maybe you might be able to survive. But this build is, it's one of my favorites. It's dumb, it's simple, it's Chroma, and I love it. I hope you all enjoyed this build, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.